Same beer?
Same beer? Same show?
Ever since Hexed was announced, it's been getting the side-eye from a good chunk of animation fans for being familiar. Now, a kid's movie about a teenager discovering a magical world where they can learn magic is nothing new, not even from Disney. It's definitely a trope, but the more we see about Hexed, the more it seems to remind people of a certain cartoon that was canceled a few years ago for not fitting the Disney brand. I am, of course, talking about The Owl House.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Now, I'll be honest, I don't think the team behind this film went into it intentionally trying to rip off The Owl House, but I do think there's a strong case to be made that they were at least inspired by the lore toon. Not from conception, but during production. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, I've seen just as many people acting as if Owl House fans are reaching, or that they're just still bitter that the show got canceled. Which is true, but I think people are missing the point in why this is bothering the Owl House peeps so much. It's not just that it's a movie about witches, and holy cow, the Owl House is about witches. People know the Owl House didn't invent witches or isekai, and if that's the first thought that pops into your mind, I feel like you gotta back up a bit and look at the bigger picture. The problem is that this film and the changes that have been made to it makes Disney look very hypocritical. Not just because of how they treated the Owl House, but because of another movie at Pixar that they canceled because they allegedly claimed it wouldn't have any appeal to boys due to having a women-centric cast. Hexed versus the Owl House. Let's talk about it, starting with the original version of Hexed. When Hexed was originally announced in August 2025, it was described as the tale of an awkward teenage boy and his type A mother after they discovered that the boy's unusual traits may be magical powers. Now yes, back then you already had some people accusing it of being an Owl House ripoff, and obviously, it was easy to call that a reach. The only thing this really had in common with the Owl House beyond magic was that it seemed like the mother-son dynamic would be at the forefront, something the concept art seemed to back up. By all accounts, this was shaping out to be something super distinct from the Owl House. But by April 2026, after a slight shift in directors and producers, it was revealed at CinemaCon that the protagonist is now a teenage girl named Billy Doe, who's described as impulsive and unconventional. Now yes, the Owl House didn't invent quirky protagonists who don't fit in, but now this is a combo of a witch story with a teenage girl who, from what we can glean, has a similar personality to Luce and a core focus on a mother-daughter dynamic. We went from one bare similarity to three, starting to stray out of the territory of, well, this is a trope. Not to mention, at least one person on the team, the executive producer, is aware of the Owl House's existence, despite the film and TV divisions being separate. But also, let's not kid ourselves. It doesn't matter if the divisions are separate or that movies do take a long time to make, as not only do we already know that they changed the film substantially between last August and April, but if you're working at Disney and making a witch movie, why wouldn't you check out their hit cartoon about witches that only ended a few years ago? Hell, it just makes sense to me that at least some people in the film would naturally be fans of the Owl House and would want to get a feel for how one Disney property is already handling witches. It's not like the Owl House flew under the radar. Between a huge fan base and how much press it attracted due to Lumity, this show had a lot of buzz, and people who are working at the company are obviously going to hear about it. So in my opinion, I don't think it's crazy to say that the protagonist being retooled into a Luce-like does indicate they might have taken some inspiration. That doesn't make it a flat-out copy or ripoff, and I'm sure the decision to change the protag from a boy to a girl could have been a decision from higher-ups for one reason or another. Maybe Pixar's Elio underperforming didn't inspire much confidence for either studio keeping human male protagonists.
And there's no money in here!
There's also a new logo that people feel like is leaning into the Owl House's aesthetic with a sleeker, bright yellow font, as opposed to the original logo that was green and felt more like modern Disney. Personally, I don't think the Hexed and Owl House logos look alike at all, and that's an area where people are reaching. But when laid out on the table with everything else, I see how people can jump to that conclusion, even if I don't agree. Because it does feel like the more that changes about this film, the more like Owl House it becomes. Though until we can at least get an uninterrupted clip of the movie, these similarities are surface level at best. But all of this is only an issue because, again, the Owl House was canceled for allegedly not fitting the Disney brand. And you could make the argument that's referring to its serialized elements. Disney Channel wants episodic shows, and Disney Plus didn't take off quite yet, so there wasn't a true spot for the more story-driven stuff. But But I don't think that argument's really foolproof, because the Owl House's cancellation happened in 2020, before season 1 was even halfway through airing, and season 2 was early in production. By this point, the show definitely had lore, but most episodes were still standing on their own, connected by things like Lilith being in the Emperor's Coven or Luce and Amity's relationship. It was as serialized as Gravity Falls season 1. It wasn't really until the middle of season 2 where they went all in on having every episode progress the plot significantly, which makes sense because that's when they were canceled. The reality is, like most popular toon cancellations, the decision to cancel it came down to one person who's in charge of those decisions and their specific taste. One guy didn't like the Owl House for one reason or another, and that's all it took for the show to be taken out back Old Yeller style. The whole thing with the Disney brand felt like it was just an excuse. This isn't just conjecture either. Dana herself stated that this was a decision by one particular person back on Reddit a few years ago. While we're talking about witch cartoons, could I interest you guys in some indie animation? Romance Summer Vampires. Right now, friend of the roundtable, Reanimator is doing a Kickstarter for the second episode of her indie animation series, The Three Tones. Tammy's a newbie witch getting thrown to a grand adventure for two best friends, Sia and Shirley. But along the way, she ends up in a love triangle with two vampires, Yogaya and Darius. Oh, the drama. Be a part of the future of indie animation and support The Three Tones by checking out the Kickstarter in the description, and be sure to watch the first episode right here on YouTube. Now back to the video. Then there's Be Free, or is it Be Fry? A film that was in production at Pixar for over 3 years that was canceled because of limited audience potential. What does that mean? A former Disney employee claims that it meant it didn't appeal to boys, as it was going to be a magical girl movie, a la Sailor Moon, while Pete Docter claims it was due to the film being a bit too depressing, centering a platonic friendship breakup. Pete, my guy, you made Up, Inside Out, and Soul, some of the heaviest Pixar films of all time. So what the hell are you talking about that a platonic friendship breakup would have been too depressing? Have you watched the first 8 minutes of your own movie? Suffice to say, the reasoning for those two cancellations no longer tracks when Hexed ditched its dude protagonist in favor of someone who was objectively reminiscent of Luce. Tropes be damned. The story beats of this trailer leading up to Billy entering Hex feels identical to the Owl House pilot. Quirky, misunderstood girl is an outcast at school, gets in trouble because of her personality and antics. Her mom's worried about her. She ends up stumbling into a magical world after conflict with her mom.
I said I played these games before!
People aren't upset that Disney's making a witch movie. They're upset that Disney as a corporation apparently felt like the Owl House wasn't palatable for their brand, but bits and pieces of it are? It makes people once again feel as if the show really got canceled because a bulk of the characters were gay.
The rainbow for the LGBTQ!
I'm not saying anything definitively, but I do see why Owl House fans could look at this and feel as if Disney's delivering a sanitized, blander version of the Owl House, where any character giving off a gay vibe just remains a gay vibe. That they would have been fine with the Owl House, so long as everyone in it was straight. And something that I want people who think anyone seeing the Owl House in this is reaching or overreacting to understand is that the Owl House is very fresh in our memory. People bringing up Halloween Town and Harry Potter to dismiss everyone's sense of deja vu are tripping in my opinion because we're talking about movies that are decades old. The Owl House ended 3 years ago and is starting back up with a graphic novel in the fall. In terms of production and how long these things take to make, that's reason enough for some people to feel some type of way about it. Especially when it's not like they're constantly churning out movies about witches every couple of years. And even then, it's not like people are pointing fingers at other Disney media that are about witches, like the new Wizards of Waverly Place. No one looked at that and went, oh, they're only bringing that back to replace the Owl House. It truly boils down to the fact that the film's premise, from a character standpoint, feels like they took Luce and Camilla, doled down Luce's personality, and plopped the two into a different Disney project. Now, with all that said, obviously a trailer is only going to show so much, and once we escape the school portion of this movie, I think it'll quickly establish an identity of its own. The world of Hex looks gorgeous, and has a completely different aesthetic from the Boiling Isles. The magic works differently, though I think it feels a little more generic, and we already have original fan favorites like book guy. There's no talking books in the Owl House, only doors. I think if Disney wants the Owl House comparisons to disappear, even though they probably don't care, they need the marketing to lean more into Hexed and its cast of characters. Just straight up stop showing the school. Don't lean into Billy's not like the other girls in school, and just show us why this world is one that's worth investing in. So did Hexed rip off the Owl House? No. Is it inspired? I'd say there's a very good possibility, but that's not a bad thing. But if I'm just being honest, even without the Owl House comparisons, I don't think it looks like the most unique Disney film ever made, in both story and designs. The jury's out on the story until we actually get to watch the film. Bad trailers are a thing, even though I wouldn't really call this trailer bad, just whatever. But I'm ready for Disney to truly commit to a new visual style for their characters. They've perfected the environments, no notes. But no matter how you slice it, too many of these characters across their films just feel samey at this point. I just think when I look at the Disney Renaissance films and the movies they made in the 2000s, I see so much variety in the characters. And while I wouldn't say every new Disney protagonist is the same character, I would say they don't feel nearly as distinct as they did before. It's been almost 20 years, let's shake things up, especially with the art style. And not that 1 foot in, 1 foot out approach you took with Wish. Also, stop making these artist storyboard films in a way where it can be perfectly cropped for TikTok. Entertainment is still art, not just content. I'm willing to give Hexed a chance, and despite how heated a chunk of animation fans are at it, I hope everyone's willing to enter the movie with an open mind, and not just blindly duck on it when it comes out, without actually seeing the movie. The ball is truly in Disney's court from a marketing perspective, and I hope the next trailer does a much better job at showing us what this film really has in store. But with all that said, these are just my thoughts, and I want to hear yours. What are your thoughts on Hexed? Do you think Owl House fans are tripping? Let's get a conversation going in the comments down below, and keep that convo going by giving me a follow over on Twitter and Instagram at AllShrekVox and at Roundtable Vids, and subscribe to the Roundtable with notifications on so you never miss a video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. Peace.